Guest in this segment because I have a minimum requirement now of at least 2 Italians per show. Frank Vitale filled the void in the first hour. Andy Colandrea fills the void in the second hour from the Ranson Town Council. Good morning, Andy. Good to have you back.
Good morning, and nice to be back.
Been a little while.
Yeah, it has been a while.
You were a candidate for office, and then you won.
And then I came back one more time, I believe. And then it's been years. Honestly, I've been so busy lately. Between city and just as a businessman.
Mm-hmm. And
yeah,
you were running a business in Ranson. You didn't like the way things were operating. You were told if you don't like it, run for office. So you did.
Well, yeah, almost. Yes, 90% true. So I was building a new. I wanted to grow. I had a 2,000 square foot building, and I wanted to move to a much bigger building. That permit took me over a year to get. Now, you got to understand that this should take 45 days. It took me over a year to get a permit to build. And I remember the assistant city manager of Ranson, we kind of didn't really go off on each other, but we had words. And he said, well, if you don't like the way things are going, then run for office. And I assume that's what he tells a lot of people, and they just, walk away and they go, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. But in my mind, I started thinking, well, that's actually a great idea. And it just so happened that year, the election had 4 seats up. 4 seats is a lot. And if you won all 4 seats, you could really make some changes in Ranson or in your city. Mm-hmm. So I asked, I looked around and I saw some other people that wanted to change. And I said, hey, would you like to join me? And we ran. We all 4 we won by a landslide, and we came in. We just started doing making changes, and
what changes did you make to make Ranson more business friendly?
Well, we changed a lot of the ordinances. There was a lot of ordinances in the smart code that just were absolutely ridiculous. Like I'm pretty sure everyone understands, the more bells and whistles, I like to call it. The more bells and whistles you force a developer or a builder or anybody, a business owner, to put on their building, the more it's going to cost the consumer, or the more it's going to cost for example, in my situation, if you have me build something and it costs me $800,000 versus $1.3 million, well, now my consumers are going to have to pay more. Or maybe if you're a builder, if you're a developer and you have, now you have to build curb gutter is not not a good example, but an alleyway behind the street. So you have to enter your home through the back of your home. You have to build an alleyway, and not only now you have to worry about a curb and gutter and a driveway in the rear of your house. You have to detach. Right? It's just all stuff that makes no sense, because you would think that if you wanted to enter your house, you want to enter through the front door, but the code said you had to enter through the back door. Well, some people would say, well, what's the big problem with that? The problem with that is you have to build 2 streets now instead of 1. You have to build 2 curbs, 2 gutter, all sidewalks everywhere. What that does is that now that the developer has to pay, on an average, about $50,000 more per home, or let's say even $30,000, they're going to drop that to the consumer. Now the consumers are paying more. When I talked to the city manager at that time, or the assistant city manager at that time, I said, what do you think all this stuff is going to do? And he says, well, the developer is going to have to eat the cost. They're not going to eat the cost. They're not. They're going to add it on, and we are going to have $500,000 homes that really, if you look at them, they're probably worth $350,000. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to pay $350,000 for a home, you want a $350,000 home.
Sure.
I just thought that Ranson could have done better with their ordinances. I mean, we're talking, and there's still stuff to do, but I want it to be that the house still looks beautiful, still has a nice backyard and everything for a family, but doesn't need all that extra that Ranson requests. So at least you're getting the most bang for your buck.
And your seat is up when now?
My seat's up next year.
So you've been in 3 years. You got 1 more to go.
Yes.
That went pretty fast.
It did go pretty fast, but I will tell you one thing. You're a politician, right?
I try not to be.
But
Okay, well,
but he is.
Technically, yes.
yeah. So I don't know how much they pay down in your county, but we get $800 a month. Okay, and I don't even see that money. That goes straight to taxes because I have them withhold all that money.
Because you generate your revenue from your business.
Exactly, and that just helps out with my when I pay taxes at the end of the year.
Sure.
But $800 a month is nothing compared to how much work goes into a city council member, or a mayor or whatever, any politician, because you really do. Your phone is off the hook. That's number one. Number two is, I mean, you're just nonstop doing things, and most people don't realize. They think maybe, oh, well, you show up to city council twice a month. That's all you do. Well, it's not that. It is a lot of work, and for anybody that's going into politics, I want to say, obviously, you're not doing it for money, because money there's really no money into it. If you're gonna do it because you love your city, your state, your county, or whatever, because it definitely doesn't pay well. That's for sure.
When's the next election day for Ranson Council?
Election day is June 3rd, but I believe May 21st, May 20 something. One that week is early voting.
Early voting.
Yes.
Okay.
So and it's gonna be a big one because I honestly don't know who's going to win. Everyone is probably neck and neck.
How many seats are up in the Ranson Town Council?
So the council, there are 2 seats that are up, and Amanda Stroud and Mike Anderson, which, by the way, both of them did a great job as council members, but they are not running for re-election. So now we have multiple people running for those seats. So obviously we're going to have 2 new council members.
Andy, what's the turnout on Ranson city elections? What's the percent turnout?
Honestly, it's sad.
It's pretty.
It's sad. I remember I spent $2,500 during my election, and I got around 200 votes. And I thought to myself, if I would have paid every single person $10 to go vote for me, that would have been cheaper. Obviously, I can't. But the point is,
I like the way you think.
You make a good point.
Yeah, and I did everything from text messaging, emailing, the signs on the street. I did Facebook. Facebook's cheap, but you do you still. I'm saying how much I did, and it was crazy because I got I want to say 198 votes, and they looked. I was like, that's pathetic. And they looked at me and they said, hey, that's a great turnout. And I said, wait, what?
Yeah, it's terrible. One of the pieces of legislation I was very proud to work on this session down in Charleston was to actually move municipal elections to election day.
Oh, did it pass?
I would love that.
It did pass, yes.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
We passed that.
We noticed that not too long ago.
2028 will be the first one where all municipal elections will either be on the general or the primary.
Because they just do one.
Yeah, because they can pick whatever third Saturday in June or whatever, which is just the turnout's just dismal.
I believe our last meeting we that was brought up, and I loved the idea. Some people were against it, some people were for it, but I loved that idea. And if you were part of that, then good job.
We worked hard for that
because it's hard to get someone out. Around the June time, it's hard to get someone out. Let's say 3 times to go to vote. Why not we just have them come out once and they vote for all of their.
Makes sense. I think last June the city of Martinsburg had 8% plus for its turnout for the June elections last year for Martinsburg.
8.5%.
And that was in a pretty heated mayor's race too, if you recall.
Yeah, but it was literally a couple of hundred votes. And it just we got to do better.
Mr. Gisper.
What do you mean a couple hundred?
The difference between the
that's not.
mayors.
But that's 8%.
Yeah, it was 8%.
Oh, you mean the difference between? Oh, okay.
Winner versus loser. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yes.
I want to go back to this year it took you to get a building permit.
Yes.
So did they keep moving the goalposts?
Yes. So I had to go back and forth, and when I say my engineer had to go back and forth to. For example, we would go up to the assistant city manager. He was the city planner at the time. and he would say, well, I don't like the patio on the side of your building. I want it in the front. And we're going, who walks through a patio to get to the front door? But we're like, whatever, just to make you happy, whatever. So, the next month he would go, well, I don't know why you have the patio in the front. You should put it to the side.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. That is one example of the 14 times we had to go back to the city. 14. Do you understand? I got a quote from my engineer. It was $26,000 to do my paperwork, to do, the drawings. It ended up costing me $86,000 from all the times we had to go back and forth. And I just remember,
Just for the drawings?
yeah. When
Every time you make a change, you got
every
to
time
pay.
you make a change order, yeah.
Because that's all the engineering and everything has to be redone for the.
And then another thing that really bothered me was each time we would go, the city planner would have, I believe the law was, he has 45 days to get back to you. Now, normally, somebody would get back to you within a week, and that's how it is today. People are actually loving the fact that our new city planner is just very quick, and we're doing things very, very well. But the former would wait till the 45th day to send the paperwork, and sometimes you think, well, maybe once is a coincidence, but you do it every single time, you're doing it on purpose.
So what was the issue? Was he just trying to slow development and change in the city, or was there something else going on?
I think it's either his way or you're not going to build. And there was just some things that you just didn't want to. For example, there was this one row of townhomes that the backyard was a 30% drop or slope. And I remember I was in the same room when they were talking about this, and the developer said, "Listen, I can't build an alleyway in the back of this townhome. I can't, because there's a 30% drop. It's not possible. Can I just this one row? Can I park in the front?" And he said, "Well, you can fill it up with dirt, and then you can build a retaining wall, and you can do it that way." And the developer just stuff like that, and he was basically built my way or the highway kind of guy, and he's till this day he scared a lot of people, a lot of people from coming in. Now I'm not saying that the answer is to have all these developers come to the area, but if you're a farmer and you have 100 acres of land, and this is what's happening all over, farmers are. Now they're in their 80s, 90s. They need to sell their land because their kids definitely don't want it. Their kids want to be YouTube stars or whatever.
Influencers, yeah.
Influencers, whatever. So I get a lot of phone calls, and they say, "Hey, Andy, do you know anybody that wants to buy?" And I said, "Well, yeah, actually, I do know quite a few people." So they end up selling. These developers are coming in. They want not only they're going to obviously pay the farmer, really good money, because you're not buying agriculture, you're not buying, residential land. But at this point, the builder also wants to know, hey, am I going to have an easy walkthrough when it comes to developing? And now I can say we are much more business friendly. We're much more growth friendly. For in Ranson.
So what changes have been made? If you were going to get your building permit today, the same thing, the same process, what changes have been made that would make that easier? Other than perhaps not having that guy anymore.
Okay, well, not only that, but we also are doing a lot of third party now. So, for example, because we're so busy, we decided to go with third party engineers also by basically saying, hey, you're going to take care of 1 through 10, but there's no way you can take care of all of that. So we actually have 3 other companies that we work with that we just send off the plans to these companies. This way, it doesn't matter how busy we get. The other engineers that we work with, or the other companies that we work with, will come back with comments within a week. And most of the time, it's comments once. You send it back maybe for any changes, and then next time you already have it changed. So having those third-party companies really helped out, not only because it lessens the workload on the city, but also a lot of times if you third-party the engineers or if you third-party the inspectors, it actually takes away from the risk of Ranson. Now Ranson no longer has to hold this incredible insurance policy for our very own inspectors or engineers if they do something wrong. Now this third-party company, hey, if they stamp it, that's them. So that's one big change that we've done, and everyone's.
Do you know how many other cities are doing that same thing?
I'm pretty sure
around the state.
I'm pretty sure a lot of cities are doing it. I just thought.
Awesome.
And if they're not, then they need to. But obviously, if they can't, if there's so much coming in, if there's a lot of workload on their very own employees. I mean, our second floor right now, or when we call the second floor the development, our second floor is just smashed with all kinds of permits and applications. But it's going to be even worse now because the county just increased the impact fee. I believe they more than doubled it. So now every developer is trying to put all of their permits in now. So we're going to get bombarded with permits here very soon. Your
thoughts on impact fees, Andy? Because Berkeley County is about to institute one, and Jefferson County has had one, but they had reduced it to almost nothing for a while.
Well, yeah, we had, I believe it was about 4,500, Jefferson County, that is, and now they want to raise it up to about 10,000. Now, and here's the thing: from what I hear, nothing's going towards the schools. Nothing's going towards. It's all going towards the county. Excuse me. And I've always said if I'm going to pay money, it's going towards a good cause, then that's fine. But I still don't understand where the money is going. That's number one.
I thought the impact fee that they were raising was for the school.
No.
I thought that was the part that they took down to almost nothing.
No, the school impact fee is $1.
Yeah, and that's the one that they just raised, right? Or they're trying to raise.
From what I understand, anyway.
From
what I heard, I don't think that's the
okay.
That's what I. But regardless,
we'll have to look into that.
Regardless, a lot of people, when we first became council members, the number one thing was we want affordable homes, and one of those was the ordinances that we changed in order to get rid of all the bells and whistles. But another thing is this impact fee. There's so much demand, and there's not enough supply. So the supply and demand, that's gonna work out itself. And I feel that the impact fee should have been raised when the demand started going down, but it's not. It's not going down right now. So the impact fee right now, they're still going to build the homes. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're still going to build the homes, and they're still going to put in their permits and so on. The problem is, I've been doing so much to try to lower the price of the home, but keep the value, if that makes sense. Sure. And by raising that impact fee, now you're adding an extra $10,000 of price to that home. And, it always comes down to the consumer. It's in the end, doesn't matter what you're talking about, the consumer is always going to pay.
Everything gets passed on.
Everything gets passed on.
But the commissioners tell us that if they don't get these impact fees, they're not collecting enough money from property taxes, real estate taxes, to be able to pay for the services that are needed in a growing county. And this is where the impact fees, which are targeted to specific expenditures, comes in.
Well, first off, the impact fees are not a major source of revenue. The property taxes, I can understand. That's a yearly revenue. The sales tax and, for example, the city of Ranson, we make tons of money off of our sales tax, property tax, and our B&O tax.
Do you have an extra sales tax, 1% extra sales tax?
1%, yes. The city tax, and that's where we get a lot of our revenue. my advice would be, well, you have to look at two things. Number one is obviously your budget. Well, what are you spending your money on then? You have to make sure that. See,
yeah, but the county doesn't get the 1% though.
No, the county.
And the
doesn't get
county's the
1%,
one who's doing the impact, right?
Yes, but if the county does the impact fee, then the Ranson has to do the impact fee. When we can add an impact fee on top of that, but we're not.
Gotcha.
It's just it hurts development, and the problem is, the way I see it is, when I go out and I talk to businesses, and I say, hey, listen, I would love to have you come over to Ranson, because actually I make a lot of phone calls to businesses in a, let's say, a 1 hour radius, and I say, hey, we would love to have you come into Ranson, and they always ask, they say, hey, what's the population? Well, here's the population, but here's the future population, and they get very interested. I've actually, I believe I'm up to 14 businesses that are either in Ranson or are going to break ground in Ranson. As all you have to do is just call them and try to get them interested, and maybe 50 will say no, but maybe 10 will say yes. The point is, those rooftops need to come in, not only for the tax revenue, but those rooftops need to come in because now with those future projections, now we can start calling those companies up, and that's where the city or the county will make the real money, because any business, the average business, makes more than 40 times the amount of tax revenue that houses make.
But how much of that stays in Ranson?
Well, if they open in Ranson, then a lot of it stays in Ranson. We get that 1% city tax. We get the B&O tax. I mean, that's a major percentage of our entire budget.
Is it enough to cover your emergency services, fire, police?
Well, emergency services is county.
So you don't have to provide that.
Well, police. I'm sorry, but police. Yes,
city police.
Yeah, and in fact, we do. Basically, we get the money, and then we just hand it over to the police department, and they look it over. And right now, police is a whole different story, but we're trying to figure out a better way to take care of our police officers, because they had a retirement before that was just ridiculous, and we're hoping to change that here very soon. This way, we can have not only a better retirement, but more police officers for the increase in population.
We have a minute left. You're expanding your business. You're going to a bigger location. What are you doing?
Yes. So I went from Andy's Pizza, which was a 2,000 square foot building, and we are increasing it. If you're not growing, you're dying, right? So we're increasing it to a 6,000 square feet building that's going to offer about 185 people dine-in. We're still going to offer takeout delivery, but this time we're going to add a brewery, so a bar, and you'll be able to come in with your families, eat the same pizza. Nice menus changed a little bit, but you can have a nice little beer made, craft beer, and come watch some sports or just hang out with your family inside or on our patio.
What are you calling it?
Inferno Brewery.
And when's it going to open?
I'm hoping to soft opening this week.
This week?
Yeah, grand opening maybe in about 3 weeks.
Congratulations, Andy.
Well, thank you very much.
Good to see you again.
I appreciate it.
And,
nice to meet everybody.
Ranson election's coming up June 3rd.
June 3rd, yes.
June
Everybody
3rd.
come out.
More to come. We're back after this.
Thanks.